as a bookseller, I have about 10 seconds to sell a book to someone. So in about 10 seconds, can you give your book pitch for 10 Truths and a Dare?
Okay, I'm gonna try for 10 seconds. Olivia is your typical high school graduate who thinks she has everything, put together, on top of her game, ready to walk across that stage. And so, of course, something terrible happens that puts all of it at jeopardy. And so she's got that last week to sort of pull it together and get everything done so that she gets that diploma. I don't know. Was that good? I don't know.
It was great. Absolutely great. So where did the seed for the idea come for this book? I mean, you have 10 blind dates. Did you know after you finished that you were going to do this?
No, because that would have been really helpful had I, planned for that. But that's okay. So they wanted, we talked about doing another book, and I thought, well, this would be great to kind of showcase, Olivia, and she, was the sort of the side character in 10 Blind Dates, and so then we were thinking, okay, well, I liked the date parts from 10 Blind Dates. Maybe I could do something similar, and so I started thinking about graduation week, and I had an upcoming high school senior of my own, and so I thought, well, there's parties and all that kind of stuff, and that could be really fun too, but what's going to go wrong for her for graduation? And my friend was like, well, I mean, all those kids that do those off-campus PEs really kind of screw it up sometimes. What if she does that? And I was like, oh, okay, there it is. So that's kind of where the seed was, where it started.
How did you come up with golf though? Because you know nothing about golf, you said.
Yes. Well, so off-campus PE is typically either golf or tennis. And I thought golf sort of gave me a little bit more room, like literal room, like the whole golf course, and more people, and more things could go wrong. Whereas, tennis is, on the tennis court. And I didn't know a lot about either one, honestly. And I just kind of went for golf. Sort of like Olivia.
I felt like, because I know nothing about golf, but I learned some stuff about golf. So who did you go to for research for that?
I have a friend whose son, who's at my kid's high school, is very good at golf, and he's like ranked in the state, and they do all the tournaments. And so I took her to lunch a couple of times, and she kind of, gave me kind of behind the scenes as the parent, and what it looks like, and showing up and all the gear, and kind of all the other parents, and how competitive it is, which I had no idea. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be, but I was kind of shocked. And then I also went to a local country club and talked to like the golf pro to see it from their side, as when they work a tournament, like what, so if my girl worked there, like what would she do? And then I also thought, well, she's kind of supposed to be clueless. And so, I mean, I did enough, but I also kind of wanted to go into it, like she would, basically, which is clueless.
So now can you introduce us to the main characters?
Yeah, so Olivia is the main character, and she is, she's got these close cousins, and then a next door neighbor friend from the grandparents' house, and that she's kind of grown up with, and Sophie and Wes and Charlie, and so they're very close, very tight, and so she's the main character, but they play big parts in it, just like they did in 10 Blind Dates. And then there's a cute boy on the golf course, because why not? So, and then, but you have the extended family as well, which is, to me, that's part of the setting. I mean, I have a big family. I came from a big family like that, and my mom's one of 7 and have lots of cousins. And so that was really, really fun to sort of write in that world that I grew up in.
Well, I honestly want to be a part of that family because I love Nona. I mean, who wouldn't want, oh my God. So could you tell people about Nona?
Well, she's the grandmother, and she's sort of the, she's got the phone tree, so to speak. So if she knows it, everybody knows it, which is exactly like my grandmother was. And, there's no secrets. And then, and then of course, then everybody's in your business, but she's also, there's always probably chocolate cake on the counter, and she loves to cook. And she's just kind of a busybody, but sort of in the best way. And she's always well-intentioned, even if it doesn't always turn out that well. But as any good grandmother is, right?
So now, are there a lot of family memories that you've worked into the book?
There was a lot of those in 10 Blind Dates, because that was set at Christmas. And until my family got to the point that it was ridiculous, we did try to stay under one roof on Christmas Eve. And I don't know how my mom, out of the 7 kids, 5 were daughters. And I don't know what these poor husbands' families, they just did not get to see anybody on Christmas because we had to be at my grandmother's house. And so, for a long time. And so I had this group that was in my age group, and there was about 7 of us. And I mean, we would be like sardines on a pallet in some room off, maybe even the dining room, which wherever we could fall, It was one night and you didn't sleep, and it was kind of crazy, but it was fun. But then we just got too big and you couldn't keep doing it. So there's a lot in that book of maybe real moments from my family. But for this book, it was really more of like my kids. You have one kid that graduated from high school a couple of years ago, one that graduated last year. And it was really more of like the type of parties that they went to and the type of events that they had right at their graduation that I kind of pulled from.
No, I have to ask, the one thing I loved about both books, at each chapter, so in 10 Truths and a Dare, you gave like a truth number 1 or truth number 2. Do you have like a favorite truth?
The Dare one's probably my favorite one. I won't give that away, but no, I love that kind of stuff in a book. I love it when I read a book and it has those kind of things at the beginning, anything that makes the format just a tad bit different. And I did something kind of similar in The Rules for Disappearing, which was my first book, where, she had her rules. And so I do tend to kind of fall back on things like that. But maybe the one like, it's hard to pee in the woods. I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but that's probably a good one.
I loved that one. I think mine was, oh my God, it was, hold on.
Of course, I'm like, I don't remember how I worded it. I mean, I wrote it, but I have no idea.
It was about peeing in the woods was yours.
Yes.
So I love truth number 2. There are good plans, and there are plans you make when you're desperate.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But your sense of humor and in getting all the teenager yanks and all the fun things that they do is really amazing. So how is it going writing this? Because you wrote thrillers before.
Right. And I have a lot of people that ask, God, are the thrillers harder to write? And I'm like, no, to me, these rom-coms are, because while I think I'm hilarious to myself, like, am I really? I don't know. And then does it translate well in the book? Maybe not. And then, sometimes you say things and it just comes out wrong, and Lord, we don't want any of that. So, I tend to overthink the rom-coms more because, it just has to hit just right. And if it doesn't, then that's a disaster. So, I don't know. And at some point you just have to say, well, I'm okay with this, what it is. And then it's really horrible. My editor will catch it and will, not be publicly humiliated. It'll be just fine. So